Well, tomorrow I'm getting ready to take my first research trip, and right now I'm in Lima, Peru, which is well below the equator, and I just did a short video on the drain, on the water going in the drain. I just did it one time, and it started going counterclockwise when we poured the bucket in, then it started going clockwise. It switched. So the whole thing about the drain is not like they say. I'll post that. But I'm getting ready to leave tomorrow, and I'm going to go on a pretty long trip, about 12 or 1,300 miles. And there's two basic things I'm going to be looking at. One, I'm going to get to Lake Titicaca, because it's the highest inland navigable lake in the world. It's at about 4,000 meters, which is like 13,000 feet, and it's very dry and clear up there where it's at, so you can see across pretty well. So I'm going to try to get some good pictures there, and I'm also going to see if I'm out at night, because in the Andes, up in the high altitude, it's very dry, and there's no lights, and so there should be some good opportunity to get some star pictures. So I'm going to see what I can do about that. Then the other thing I'm going to be looking at, there's a meme or an idea that's been circulating in the flat Earth movement. Mostly, I think it started by Eric Dubai, but other people have picked up on it. And basically, he says that what the Bible describes as Leviathan, Behemoth, and fire-flying serpents, all encompassed under the word of dragons, do not exist, and all the bones that they say they find are fake and things like that. So I know a lot of people have picked up that and said, "Oh, there's no such thing as dinosaurs." It's the same lie that the Earth is a spinning ball. Now, of course, I don't believe that, because the Bible says God spoke directly to Job and said, "Have you considered Behemoth and Leviathan?" And that he has he has smoke coming out of his nostrils, like hot coals. I'll have to look that up. And talks about fiery flying serpents, and then many times talks about dragons. So most all creationist Christians believe in dragons, and of course the world uses the word dinosaur. That's fine. They came up with that about in the 1800s, but since this is a creation-related topic, there just happens to be on the way on this trip 3 different things that are related to that issue of the dragon issue. Other people can use the word dinosaur. I'm going to use the word dragon, and that is I'll be going by Ica, Peru, where there's a museum called the Ica Stones. I first went there in 2003, and I was very impressed. They've got thousands of these stones that carve all these different dragon depictions with people, and also, well, a lot of them are pornographic also, which isn't uncommon here in Peru. They have these old pottery and things with pornographic depictions. So I'm going to stop by the Ica Stones Museum in Ica, Peru. Like I said, I've been there before. I had a bunch of pictures from before, but that was 14 years ago. And I lost those with the hard drive crash. Also, going on a little bit further, in a little town called Palpa, which is right before you get to Nazca, which is also this little town Palpa. There's the Nazca lines are all around this area. And so if you look on Google Earth, you can see them. I used to live in Nazca. I lived in Nazca. I had a gold mine there for a couple years, or 5 years actually in total. And so I lived actually in the little town of Nazca for some time, so I'm very familiar with the area. And when I was there before, I had a private teacher for my kids, and he took them to this old hacienda that has a Catholic, it had a Catholic, building, a church they would call it, and it was very interesting. In fact, I think I have a picture of it here from Google Maps, Google Earth, and I think it's called Hacienda Iglesia de San Juan. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, so I'm going to go by there, because inside of that church there are carvings and mosaics from tiles and things like that, and there is a depiction that was like a relief, not a carving or not a painting, of a long-necked dragons. So hopefully it's still there. It hasn't been destroyed. I don't know why it would be. not many people stop by there, even though it exists. So I'm going to try to get, I'm going to go by there and get pictures of that. Also, continuing down south past Nazca, almost to the city of Arequipa, which is well known, there's another valley, and they have dragon footprints embedded in the stone, exposed. And I also had pictures of that from years ago when I took my kids there, and that also, they got lost on a hard drive crash. So I'm going to go by that little, well, it's not really a museum, it's just you can stop there and you pay something and you can go see the footprints. And so I'll look that up also to post here so you can see what it is, but I'm planning on going by that. So my purpose in these three things is to give some evidence to the naysayers that people say, oh, there's no such thing, that's all fake, all the bones are fake. Well, that's not true. Now they've even found bones with cells still in them, showing that they're not millions of years old, and that's well researched. The people that found them basically got fired and they had to sue their employer, which was a university, I think, of California. And so to say that there's no such thing as large reptile bones or large animal bones, or that they were all fake, and that's just, that I do not believe. That is not a Christian doctrine. The Bible talks about, like I said, Leviathan, Behemoth, and that's in Job, anybody can look it up, and also fire-flying serpents, and then all through the Bible, dragons, which is generally considered the all-encompassing word over these types of animals. So that's what I'll be starting with that tomorrow. So hopefully I'll be able to update my trip as I go along, and hopefully I'll get some good evidence and pictures. And the thing about the Ica stones is debatable, because the guy that supposedly was providing them to the doctor that started the museum, he later said, no, I just made them to sell and they're fake. And then, but of course they were being persecuted by the government and said, oh, if you're selling these, if they were real, then they'd go to prison for selling, I guess violating the Antiquities Act or whatever, that they can't sell artifacts, which of course is true. You can't just go, there's all kinds of artifacts all over Peru, and there's people that actually, that's their job, is they go dig up places and find gold and things like that. I've seen things myself like that. So it makes sense that he recanted, then he recanted again and said, oh no, it wasn't true. Later, I just didn't want to be persecuted. I didn't want to go to prison. So are they real or not? I don't know. Let's get some good pictures and other opinions. I think they probably are. It's a mystery. It's amazing. Once you see them, you can look them up. There's a lot of information on the internet about them. And I, of course, first learned about them by who else but Kent Hovind, Dr. Dino. So when I first came to Peru in 2003, I went straight the first week to Ica and went to the museum, and I was just amazed. But I lost all the pictures. So I'm going to go back and get some more pictures, and hopefully you can follow me along the way.